Okay, you are now recording. Right.
Okay.
So Jeff should be able to get in now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. If I'm not in that room downstairs.
Sorry for the interruption. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, let's give a minute to see if Beth can join, and I didn't hear anything from Bill Perret. The CRC meeting tonight.
Charter commission, there is a charter commission meeting tonight.
I'm not sure if it's his committee or the whole.
I think there were 4.
Yeah, usually they're kind of early, right?
There were 2.
Or there's a parking commission meeting or something.
There's 84.
Is he on parking too?
Bill?
No.
Oh,
Okay, maybe.
my goodness, shouldn't we top the number of meetings everybody can be on?
Yeah. No, I would
Okay,
think.
he has the right passcode and meeting ID, so is it possible that he doesn't have the right? This is the agenda, right?
Yeah, I went from the link on the agenda, I can,
That's what it said on here too, for the information, the meeting information.
check if he's on Wi-Fi, I'm sure he is,
Okay.
I'm being sarcastic. I can try and text him the agenda.
This is when technology is.
That's great until it's not, right? All right, Wendy, it's very uneventful. So. My life is not saying hello.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is, good.
Hello.
Hello, hi, can you hear us?
Thanks, Jane.
Can you
Can
hear
you
us?
see me? Can you hear me?
We
I
can
can
see
hear
you.
you and I can see you.
Oh, great, good. Perfect.
Where is the microphone? Is it in the phone? Where is it?
I don't know.
I think it might even be in the TV.
It might be, yeah, because I can see the camera on top of the TV.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get started. Sorry that we are late.
I'm very sorry to delay you all.
Oh, it wasn't
we
you,
were
we were
having
having trouble too in here.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 7:17. All right, this is the Town of New Canaan Affordable Housing Committee Project Development Subcommittee meeting, special meeting for Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. Let's do the roll call. Krista Nielsen here, Hillary Ormond here, Bill Perret is not here at the moment. Neither is Bob Strong. I'm not sure if he's on the committee, but I put his name down. Mike Sweeney.
Here.
Jane Williams.
Here.
And Jeff Williams.
Here.
Could I get someone to volunteer to do the minutes
Yeah.
today? Are you sure, Jane?
Yeah.
You did it last time. You've already
Okay.
done your duty.
It's all right. Everybody has a lot of work to do. Please.
Thanks, Jane. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. We have 3 meetings, because I forget to do this, that we need to approve the minutes for. I hope everyone got a chance to look at them. I sent them out again by email today. As far as I'm concerned, we can, unless people have specific issues with specific minutes, if someone just wants to make a motion, we can approve them as a group.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, that is unanimous. The minutes are approved. All right, so then the main portion of this meeting tonight will be to talk about the pros and cons of each of the concepts. I had sent out after the last meeting, sort of my first go around at it, and I'm gonna hopefully share my screen here so we can. Okay. My options are share photos, share camera, share iPad drive, or share website. I don't want any of those. I'm gonna share my screen.
Where you see the share?
On the bottom of mine. See where it says share and you've got the little arrow?
Yes. Can you go to like host tools? That's probably not right.
I don't have the host tools. She did make me a co-host, right?
She
Yeah,
did.
she did.
Okay.
See, this says share screens. You don't have that option under share?
No. Oh, host tools. Share screen. All right, now I think I will.
Okay.
Boy, we're really.
Who's in here?
Go,
So when you go under share, when you click on the share, what does it tell you?
photos, camera, iCloud Drive, or website.
iCloud Drive, maybe? Is it on your iCloud Drive? Is it a?
I actually know it, honestly, it's on the on Canva. I wonder if I can just type in the website and share it that way. Oh, boy.
Well, let me see the share settings too. Enter scale to fit. Let me just make sure that you.
Give us 1 minute, Wendy, I appreciate you. Trying to help us. Oops.
Preview available content or share entire desktop. Just wondering. One participant who can share. Can share.
This is like I put in the website for Canva with my stuff.
Okay, sorry, I'm just clicking around to see if there's some. Oh,
That
there you
looked
are.
very promising.
Okay, I mean, I guess I can just.
We'll all close our eyes so we don't see your password. I don't even know my password, guys.
That might be the next problem. Well, passwords, come on, come on. Do it. I'm in. My password's like 1,000,000 characters long.
Wow.
All
right, guys.
You did it.
Congratulations. Great job.
We're gonna be here till midnight at the rate we're going.
No, shush. All right, let's
All
roll.
All right, let's get. So, we're just gonna go.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys had a chance to look at it, maybe make some notes, maybe we'll add some things, maybe we won't, but, we're just gonna go site by site, starting with Locust into Lumberyard and then ending with Richmond Hill because I had not done Richmond Hill. All right, so this was Locust Avenue, scheme number 1. This was the one that's all in one building with the parking on the east side, the bottom of the slope. In terms, I'll just read through what I had and then we can discuss and or add. For things that I thought were good about this site plan or pros, this one at 89 units could deliver a full moratorium with a higher margin for error if we need to make any changes. It's above the target parking ratio, which we established as 1.2 spaces per residential unit. It does give you a little sort of pocket park building relief on the Heritage Hill side, which is better than, in my opinion, than the building taking the entire site. We have complete site control on this, so there's no outside approval or land acquisition. Because, and this will be true for both the Locust Avenue lots, schemes, but because this is a smaller site, redevelopment may be more in line with public preferences. And this one does continue commercial frontage along Locust Avenue, so you would have a full streetscape as you walk from the thrift shop down towards the post office, with the exception of the entrance to the parking garage. Did you guys have other things you wanted to add or questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The no outside agency approval needed. I wonder if we can just make that more clear, because it makes it almost sound like planning and zoning won't need to be involved, or like, I think I understand what you're saying. I would say
The comparison is the lumberyard, where if we choose to make any changes to the parking lot right at the train station, we'll have to, and maybe if we don't, I don't know, we'll have to work with the Department of Transportation, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that there's,
Agency.
No state agency approval?
yeah. And I would say, I think. And I guess this applies to all of them, that there's no land acquisition costs, which I think is a pro for all of them. But I'm not sure we need to put it in each one, so I don't know if there's somewhere to make.
Well,
it
it might be
clear.
a good reminder. You know, we kind
Yeah.
of take it for granted, but we shouldn't.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it here with complete
Yeah,
site
you can-
control, no land acquisition
Yeah.
cost. And no state agency approval.
Stacy gave us a different number for parking spaces there,
Okay.
which was 153.
153.
Yeah.
For the existing?
She said Locust Lot has 153 spaces,
Okay.
410 business permits issued.
And Jane, did she talk with you about those reserved for the town employees?
Yeah, let's see.
It's 28, I think, isn't it?
Let's see. Let me see if she put anything in the additional. No, she said, Locust Avenue is our free business permit lot. Locust has 153 spaces. There are 410 business permits issued. The usage is very high in that lot. Most employees do not all work at the same time, so we're able to accommodate employees. Please keep in mind that we do not guarantee our free permit spaces. If there's no availability, then the employees must park in other areas and follow the parking regulations. In addition, the 410 permit number includes employees that are no longer working in the businesses. We're not usually told of employees who've left, so we can cancel their permits. When the renewal period comes around, the current number usually decreases by about half. Renewal
Yeah.
period will show the actual amount of employees that are still at businesses and still need their permits. So she doesn't really.
So I don't have my notes in front of me, but I looked at them 2 weeks ago. And my recollection was it was 28 parking spaces along the western edge. So along the, I guess it would be the Heritage
Heritage
Hill
Hill.
side,
Uh-huh.
are reserved exclusively for town employees.
town employees or town business employees?
Town employees.
Town
as
employees,
as
okay.
opposed to the business employees. It's town employees.
Okay,
Okay.
she does not mention that here.
Yeah.
I think that when next week on Wednesday, March 11th, we'll have Tiger, Maria,
Oh, right.
Sarah Carey, Kathleen Holland, and also Scott Hobbs attending our meeting, but I'm pretty sure just from the site walk that Tiger and Maria, they know that number too, so we can confirm then.
Is there a category for paid business permits? Where,
Let's see, Morse Court 25 premium business permits. I don't know.
I thought the zoning commission was requiring,
Fee and
people
lieu. Yeah.
buy permits or, go buy 6 permits to satisfy your parking requirement.
Yeah, we have done that. I don't know who keeps track of that. Maybe another question for Sarah.
I would just update that math on the parking net gain.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Because it should 110,
110 net gain.
yeah. And whether that changes the parking to unit ratio, which it might do, so I would just double check Nick. If it's 89 units and it's 110 spaces, it would probably be, let's see. No math. If it, I'm just looking at the building, so if it's 89 units and now we're adding 110 spaces.
So it'd be 110 divided by 89.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is why I became a lawyer, right? So I didn't have to math.
Um,
110 divided by 89. So it'd be 1.24.
Okay.
Instead of 1.36. Yeah.
Say 1.2.
It says,
I think it says 1
it
point.
says 1.246, and I would just do 1.24.
All
Yeah,
right.
Oh, Krista,
Yeah.
looking, if I may ask a question, in point 4 under the pros where you said control site control, complete site control, no land acquisition cost. Will Deanna, et cetera, see this before we say that? Should we say, let me just be straightforward. Should we say assumes no land acquisition cost?
I mean, what would? Yes, but I mean, what else, what other assumption would there be where we're acquiring land here?
Well, I think we would be much more comfortable saying no land acquisition cost if it wasn't a surprise to Deanna. If this was going to be presented to a group of townspeople, we may not want to say no land acquisition costs and have Deanna feel like we put her in a
Oh, in terms of us using this site?
yes, that's what I'm sorry, I'm not being clear, but yeah.
You mean like to leave the door open if the town at the last minute wanted to put some kind of surcharge on it?
I have no idea, Mike, but I expect that Deanna would, I haven't been involved in any conversations where she acknowledged that it was okay to look at these places as our primary land grants because we hadn't cleared it with her. So I just
I
don't.
mean, I know she is aware of the sites we're studying, and obviously I had to go before the Board of Selectmen for the contract permit to Emma, and we talked about the sites then. I guess to your point, there has not been a pointed conversation about, is this free land?
I mean, two things, either we can, run that point by Deanna before it's presented, or use your precatory language and put assumes.
Yeah.
Assumes, yeah, exactly. And I think either would be fine.
Okay.
That covers it.
I just don't want to put her in a position where she says, "Hey, wait a minute, you should have talked with me before you ever put that on a presentation to
Yeah.
the whole town."
Yeah, I think, and I mean, I don't know that this is the final form of what we'll present to the town. This is our, homework.
Those are
as
working
Kate
sheets.
said. But, yes, and I also hope that we will go over some of this with someone, maybe Chris will go over some of this with her before we go out to the town, but I think that's a good point.
And when you say, when we say complete site control, what are we describing there? Again, it worries me that people are gonna think we can come in without any approvals process in the town.
I mean, maybe the easiest way for me to say it is the town owns the land.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's all I'm trying to say is that we
Yeah,
don't have
then I
to.
would, then maybe take out complete site control and just say assumes no land acquisition costs, no state agency approval needed.
Okay.
And no third party,
Yeah.
something, but
I just wouldn't wanna overpromise or like, people will get, right, it could get somebody's hackles up to think that we as a committee can just say, here's what we're going to do, and there's no oversight, right, when it would have to go through.
A lot of
So,
oversight.
yeah.
Anything else on the pros for this one that you guys thought of?
I mean, I like that it's so walkable to the downtown, like that, I mean, everything that we've looked at is pretty walkable, so I don't even know that we need to say it,
Yeah,
The one thing that this doesn't have that the other, if we ever do Richmond Hill, but certainly the lumberyard lot has immediate access to train transportation, and this doesn't. It's a bit of a hike to the train station.
okay. We could put that on the con side if we feel like we want to. Let's just go over the cons quickly and then we'll. Get off my screen. All right, cons. The garage is going to be visible on this site. I think both schemes, there's no real way, given the size of the site, to completely block the garage from view, so it'll be visible from the back side of Forest Street. This one, I think, is the only of the site plans that's a single large building. The others have, multiple buildings. And I think that could give this a bigger feel, just having it all in one building. I think a single point of the entry on Locust, which is what this site plan is calling for, could strain congestion in an already stressed intersection. Again, maybe because of the massing of this building and the fact that it's taking up probably more than 75% of the site, it may be perceived as maxing out the site, and the reality is that any changes during the design process could result in a loss of units. As we said on the pros, we do have a buffer here, so they kind of equal out. And there's no phasing possible, as I understood it from Emma to Emma, also just given that it's one big building.
Yeah, I think you said earlier about the massing and the facing locust. Do we want to mention something, loom factor, the looming over?
Yeah, Mike, I think that's a good question.
I don't remember how many stories this is.
It's 4 stories in the
Four
back.
stories.
Yeah.
All right. Looming over Locust or looming over I guess what I would think would be looming over the businesses downstream on Locust, like the post
Right.
office. Okay.
Well, and I think, forgive me, I don't remember his name, but I think the fellow who did the drawings suggested that it would be looming over the townhouses on Forest.
Yeah, I mean, given the topography, this is at the highest point of Locust Avenue, so everything downstream. Now, that being said, we'd have to do a height comparison. This may not be much taller than like the cupola on the post office, but I'm sure it's probably taller than the 2-3-story townhouses down at the corner of Forest and Locust. So,
I think
yeah,
so.
I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at with the garage.
Yep.
I
That's
guess
what
I was
got.
also getting at garage visibility, but you're gonna be looking up at that garage from Forest Street.
So why don't we say, for one, potential loom factor?
Okay, concerns about loom.
Yeah, and I think that could be true from any angle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that we need to specify which street at this point what might be subject to that. And then, yeah, and I think the garage is more of an aesthetic thing in addition to the loom. I mean, those are expensive townhouses and they might quite like the view that they have now. They don't want to look at a parking garage. So we could anticipate some pushback there.
Yep. Oh,
Could I, Krista, could I make a slight suggestion on your wording of the thing about concerns over loom? Could we
Yeah.
say could be seen to loom, could be seen to loom over adjacent properties? Rather than saying we think there's a concern about loom, could we just say provisionally it could be seen to loom over adjacent properties? Or condos on Forest Street?
Maybe potential perceived loom. Like-
So, yeah, yes,
Potential loom.
Yeah,
potential loom over.
Potential, yeah, just very simple.
not a loo though.
not a loo. It's gonna be a loo if my
Concerned about loom.
Although I will, maybe somebody will say that garage is gonna be used as a loo. Oh, we gotta laugh, guys. Loo, yeah.
That would be any more room.
I sort of love it, leave it as concerns about loo.
Just tell me your wording and I'll go back and fix this afterwards.
No, I was gonna ask a question. Have
I
we?
know, but I was too busy clicking on the thing to remember what we wanted to say about the loom.
Yeah, concerns about loom. You got it.
No, but he didn't like that.
Oh,
I think,
So I was saying could be perceived to loom over adjacent properties.
Okay.
Because one man's loom is another person.
loo.
Okay, yeah. Lou,
Exactly.
that's another person's loo.
Try one more time. I'm about done with technology tonight.
Yeah.
I can't.
By the way, this is very good. The whole
Yeah.
presentation is.
So
We don't feel like we're
Oh, no,
Um,
not at all. Oh, good lord, no.
Yeah.
Come to a planning and zoning commission meeting.
No, I know, but
Wordsmith, well, Wendy could tell you where we
Yeah.
wordsmith a document together. All right, I don't know, I did something and I can't change that, but sorry, Jeff, you also had a question.
So on 3, have we ever had conversations with Amenta Emma about that this would be a concern, that we
Yeah.
had a single point of entry? And did they say anything in response to like, we think we could figure out some way to get off of Heritage Street into the garage or something like that?
I mean, it was brought up when they gave their present, and we've only had that one meeting where they presented these options to us, and obviously there was a lot for us to digest at that time, but I do believe that that came up. And they were aware of it, you know, I think we all agreed that this one, or probably even scheme 2 for this one would require some sort of traffic study. I mean, definitely would require a traffic study to look at the impact on that intersection of Main and Locust and Heritage Hill.
I must say, I'm not suggesting we change the layout and everything, but I am concerned about proposing anything of this scale that comes solely off of Locust Avenue.
Yeah, yeah,
I just, I'm, I've been in and out of that parking place or parking lot a lot, and it's always tough to get in and get out of that parking lot as it is today.
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think that's,
I think that's probably
The
the
major
death
con.
knell for this one, if
yeah.
I'm being honest, that and just the size of the building.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, anything else on this one, or do we want to go to scheme 2?
Well, if we're asked, could you put another outlet? I mean, could you put another?
I don't think the way
entrance
this
exit?
garage is designed,
Not
like
the way
that.
this is designed.
Yeah.
And the next one,
The
yeah.
next one, you have some options.
Yeah.
Yes, first presentation, you did have an option B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the other exit on top and the configuration.
And if you're gonna adjust the cons.
Yeah.
The single entry I might rank number 1, like I might put that as the first con.
Oh, right.
If we're just. I think in terms of that, like in the hierarchy of cons, that
Mhm.
might be the biggest one with.
Big con.
So now,
I think that's a good suggestion.
we'll get to the next one. All right. Scheme 2,
Back to the other one, I was just,
Oh.
it might just a placeholder, but maybe it's a question for Tiger. There's a main drainage trunk that runs from that property down Locust to Forest. Maybe just a question that we put to Tiger about that, whether that has any complication throwing all that drainage into that pipe there.
Okay.
Let's hope. I did have, way back when, I did have a conversation with Tiger about this site. And it was a fairly extensive conversation, and he was a real bull on this site. In fact, he's the person who wanted to suggest that this taking the Forest Street properties either in a commercial transaction or by eminent domain was a really sensible thing to think about. And he never mentioned, Mike, he never mentioned the problem with the drainage. That's not to say there isn't, and that's not to suggest that it was silly to bring it up. It's just, he never mentioned that it was.
I think find it may be a non-issue because the capacity is not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it is good to ask him about it.
Okay, well, we will do that next week. So next up is scheme 2 for Locust Avenue, which you guys may recall is more of an L-shaped building with some townhouses along Heritage Hill, that small building along Heritage Hill is townhouses to my recollection. The purple note on here, I tried to put it on the picture, you can't see it on the slide, but it talks about redrawing it to take out that access
Right.
Yep.
parcel that we don't own.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure from high level conversations with Amanda Emma that that's fine, that doesn't really change the design, it just changes the number of ingress and egress points, which in this one are 3. the garage or the structure can be accessed from the same location on Locust Ave as the last one. I believe there's an exit onto Heritage Hill. That you can see
Oh,
the
right
top
there?
parking goes out.
Yeah, you can
Right
see the
here, yeah,
upper level, yeah.
I think and that would be a grade with Heritage Hill, and then obviously if there were land acquired, there could be a third access point, but at least the upside is this one gives you two, if not three. So I will have for anything we do well, I know this is public, but when we have a public meeting specifically on this, Amenta Emma will redraw that. We'll take out the site that we don't know.
Okay.
So we need to change point 2 on the pros to 2, right?
Yeah,
Streets access across 2 entrance exits.
two, yay, it works. Okay, so
I would change existing parking would be 153 instead of 142, and so that leaves 81 spaces.
Mhm. 153, 81.
Yeah. And then this is 76 units,
Yeah, 76.
so that would be 0.94 units per.
It's not gonna let me type in each.
Is that right? Is that not right?
Would you say 1.4?
Wait, no, it would be, so there's 81 new spaces, so it's 81 divided by 76, is that right? No, sorry, it'd be 1.07,
What's the existing parking?
153.
153.
It's just not gonna. Okay, now it's just all messed up.
Okay.
Coming to existing 153. 81 is the gain
Correct,
and
and so the parking to unit ratio.
ratio is 1.4.
1.07.
Oh, that's pretty low.
Mhm.
Probably the lowest of all of them. Okay, so the pros I see of this one, like the last one, also delivers a full moratorium. It's gonna be tight, 76 units. Again, it depends, as you guys remember, the hue points depend on the size of the units. So it's not just a number count, but 75 is kind of where we think we need to be. So this one is able to distribute access across 2 entrances and exits, which would reduce the strain, hopefully, on the Locust Main intersection, although I think going out on Heritage Hill right there is gonna put a lot of traffic right there too. And it's a tight, yeah. I'm sure Tiger will have something, Tiger and Maria will probably have something to say about whether that's too close to the existing intersection. This one fills the gaps on Heritage Hill and Locust Avenue streetscape for a more contiguous streetscape frontage, so you'd be looking at buildings on the street as opposed to empty space.
And those are townhouses, right?
Yeah.
The
one on
the Heritage Hill frontage.
Yep, was townhouses,
Okay.
which I think would also probably scale better with the neighborhood on Heritage Hill.
So do I. That's why I wanted to check.
This one, I think, gives us a little more breathing room for access, circulation and buffering, just because the site isn't so much building, although saying that, I think what we're looking at from the bird's eye view is largely a building with on top of a parking structure. But I may be wrong here. I suspect there may be more flexibility for design changes without losing units on this one, but I don't know that for sure. I think I will also run all of this by Amenta Emma to make sure that I'm not saying things that aren't true.
Does that little front building have to be townhouses, or would it be? Are we saying townhouses like,
Yeah, vertical,
yeah, vertical living?
like probably what's on like 4th Street.
Okay, yeah, and not a townhouse style with apartments on each floor, right? Like, I'm just wondering if the units, could we increase the number of units if those weren't true townhouses where it's like multi-level living for,
flats.
yeah.
I think that's a good
flat.
question. When they talked about townhouses over at Richmond Hill, it was basically townhouse frontage, but there were gonna be single level apartments within the townhouse frontage.
Yeah.
Well,
I just
another
don't
thing I
remember
was gonna-
This one.
Yeah, I don't, that's a question. All right, scheme two. Focus. I can tell you that the ones on Verdith Avenue, there will be townhouses, sort of as that new development on Verdith and Cherry wraps Cherry Street and goes up towards, I don't know what that building with all the servers in it is.
That's
Um,
the Frontier, formerly the Frontier Building.
okay, but those, well, I think it's changing because I think they're coming back to us, but those originally were designed that like sometimes they were split in half, so there could be 2 units in one vertical building, so they could get like 1.5 stories. So I don't know.
Okay.
exactly.
I just couldn't remember.
There's a lot of
It
ways
was-
to-
Yeah,
Slice it up,
Yeah.
is my point.
They'll look like townhouses from the house.
That's, yeah, for
okay.
all.
Yeah,
ten-
yeah.
This is the same as the last one on Locust, redevelopment of a smaller site might be more in line with public preferences, and I think they said on this one that we may be able to separate the public parking from the residential parking, like basically the public parking would be all on the lower level of the garage, and then what you're looking at here on the upper level, I think would be up residential parking. Anything to add?
I don't know if that's gonna be possible if we don't have that Forest Street entrance.
Yeah. I don't remember, I'd have to go back and look at the pictures to see how the ramp worked and how you get up. And
Yeah,
down.
I think just, and this is just from having just a quick look at it when we talked about it with them, that the Forest Street entrance was important for the first level. And then Heritage Hill and Locust basically fed the upper level.
Uh,
But that's something, I mean, we can look at that. I mean,
yeah, I wonder though, I think Locust would probably fill the lower level, just given the grade there. And then I could see Heritage Hill being the entrance exit for the residences on the upper level.
yeah, that's possible, yeah.
And it's possible, sorry, Jeff, that there could be something here, like if you came in this way, right? So you would come in this way. I don't know, there might be a building, a way to design it so that someone would have to go through the parking lot, but they could go in perhaps on one of the levels.
Oh, you mean then
Down
down
the other way,
Yeah,
yeah.
some sort of ramp. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an architect, but it sounds like their ramping system constrains the size of the
okay.
garages. I mean, it may be possible, I just
Yeah.
don't, I don't know. But so that's why I put it may be
Mhm.
possible to separate them.
Yeah, I think maybe able to separate, I think that's a fine way to say it.
Yeah.
Do you need to reiterate the pro of the town owning the land, et cetera? I mean, we're looking at a different one, but are we expecting people to remember the pros that apply to both?
Yeah, so I mean, on this one, because I was literally doing it for this drawing, I put under the cons that this requires the acquisition of the lot on Forest Street, which
Okay.
may slow or complicate the
Yeah.
process, which I would probably take
We
it
had to
out.
take out, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Why, nobody deleted?
Let me do it, it'll let me delete half the word process, as well, it's gonna let
Well,
me.
but that's just your
The
indication.
Lou and the Proc.
Yeah, when I do my proofreading, I'll be like, why did I write proc
Yeah.
in lieu? I think it just gets like
Yeah.
loaded. All right, remove two on the comments.
Right.
But yes, if I remove 2 on the cons, then I would add site ownership. Or
To
however
the
we worded it
pros.
to the pros. Yes, and so we do, I just, for anyone who's watching, which I don't think anyone's watching, but for anyone who watches this later, we do have one member of the public in the room. I don't know Wendy's last name. Wendy, can you introduce yourself and make your comments?
I'm Wendy Peggy.
Okay,
With this one, I'm thinking snow removal and
Yeah.
with both buildings. snow removal.
Yeah.
Well, there's, it looks like there's
Nowhere to get, yeah, snow removal would be tough. On
And
this,
and Paul Payne might have an issue.
yeah. Okay,
Top of mind at the moment.
yeah. Not every winter is 2026, but it would be a problem.
I'm a snow shoveler. So I know it doesn't have any place to go.
I think that was a problem, conversation we may have had on the Burtis Avenue. Sorry, I keep bringing that up, but that's like the most recent multifamily in downtown. That's also pretty dense and intense on that site. And I think that they said they would have to, you know, get it taken away
Melted.
in a truck or something, like they're not gonna be able to store it. They don't get to test that this winter. We'll find out in the future.
That's open.
And I'll just read the cons and then we can see if there's anything else. So the cons were that the garage, you'd be looking up at that garage from the new apartments and the house there on Houston Lane. You may also be looking up at it. I think it'd be more, you'd probably be looking more at residential, but you have to remember what we're looking at is on top of a garage layer. So from the Forest Street condos and the Houston Lane apartments.
Is it the same number of stories looking up the hill? I'm trying to remember.
I think they're both the same stories.
Okay.
I think they're both 3 stories. I'm just looking back at my.
3 stories on top of a story of parking, I think. I'll get rid of number 2 because we're gonna take out the land acquisition piece. This one had no commercial proposed on Locust, and I think it had to do with, I'm not sure, the fact that the garage is there and they needed
Right.
all the
There's no
space in the garage. They couldn't even do like a liner. Which I think from an urban design perspective is not ideal, that you just kind of have a blank wall at one of the major intersections in town. And then just like the previous one, no phasing possible on this. Other things to add or delete?
No, I mean, I think the no commercial could be looked at either way. Like,
Yeah.
is the town or the housing authority prepared to be also a commercial landlord as well as a residential landlord? It's an opportunity for, it doesn't have to be blank, it could be an opportunity for art or like. give
Yeah,
kids, like,
landscaping, I
do
mean-
like graffiti, or,
Yeah.
not graffiti necessarily, but like. There could be some revolving art project on it or something, which, so sometimes to me, a blank wall is an opportunity.
Mural.
So yeah, I think of it in 2 different ways.
Well, and also to be
But
fair,
yeah.
there's no commercial there now.
Right.
So
That's
really
right.
not a change, it's just not an improvement.
Yeah,
I keep thinking that there will be an impact on the firehouse. But I don't know, other than the fact that they have used that lot for storage and
training.
in the past, I don't know what that would be, but I have a
So
feeling.
Jane, could you expand on what your concerns might be about there? Because they do use that as a point of access to those lower garages, but I don't know what they store in those lower garages.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I don't know, the turning radius when you're on Main Street and they're trying to turn around is complicated, but I've never seen them actually use this area where we would be entering and exiting the parking lot.
Yeah, me
But it
neither.
just feels very complicated to me. Only because of the mass of the size of those trucks. And the speed at which they have to get in and out of that building and everything has to be normal for them not to need the area we're building on, if you know what I mean. On a normal day, they don't use it, but I think they do use it a lot. On a regular day, they don't, am I right?
I
Well-
would just say, yeah, I would say under cons, like potential fire department impact or potential fire
Conflict or
department.
something like that.
Yeah,
And I think, again, we might get more feedback on that next week. Not that we have the fire department here, but I suspect
Yeah,
there'll
they'll
be
know
some opinion.
if there is,
And if we
right.
need to go to the fire department, we can.
They may have concerns too about just access to, without fires, to access it with their fire trucks, if there would be a fire at the building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And ladders to
Yeah.
go up that.
it's the conversation we have a lot of.
They'll probably have to go all the way around the block to get to the building.
Or up
Maybe they
there
can
where
stand on the
throw-
roof with a
they
fire
could just go
station.
on the roof and spray their houses.
Yeah, just from the roof.
Exactly.
Okay,
All right, good.
let's move on to lumberyard. Okay. So this was the first scheme that Amanda Emma showed us. As you recall, they put a huge parking garage at the back of the site along the rail line, which is that gray structure that I think can fit something like, well, 550 cars in it. There's existing 350 parking spots at the lumberyard lot, so they're keeping all of, moving all of those into this garage and adding another 200 spaces for the residential that's included in the 3 buildings in this site. And you can see there the numbers that Emma gave us for how many units are in each of the buildings. So I'll just run through this one and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Sure.
The pros, again, not only does this deliver a moratorium, it delivers more than one full moratorium if we were to build it all and make them all affordable. This site, because it's larger, allows for the structure, the buildings to be phased. So it wouldn't have to all be constructed at once. I guess the town would have to decide how many times they want to be disrupted, but it could be phased. The buildings scale with the topography, so the garage, which largely be hidden from Elm Street, it would be probably quite visible from Pine Street, and that kicks in over on the con side in a minute. This one distributes some entrance egress traffic onto Grove Street, although I don't see that. I think well, I'd have to confirm that with them. I thought that this, I mean, obviously I thought that, so I put it here. But I don't see how it does based on this tiny drawing. I do think it's a positive that this creates an interior street on that site, instead of just kind of a sea of parking like it is today. The narrow ends of the building face Elm Street, which keep the cadence with the existing streetscape on the street. The larger site, as I just said, allows for more flexibility in design and phasing. And covered parking would be replacing the current surface parking, which one could argue is an improvement for the commuters. The cons on this one are that the garage would be looming, to use that word, over Pine Street. I think that might be the foreign car service directly underneath it, some office buildings.
Those dentist offices and
Yeah.
doctor offices to the right.
They think it's a 5-story garage is what they said, 4-story.
Yeah, and so my kid's orthodontist is in that
Yeah.
building, that would be on this side of it. It's a hallway to offices on that back side of the building.
Yeah,
So it
that's
would
true.
not be
It would not
precluding
be.
light, like the
Right.
offices all, I don't know about all of them, but at least my orthodontist office, it fronts Pine Street.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they get their natural light. So I wouldn't worry so much about that blockage, and it's not very nice right now.
No, yeah, I mean, you're already looking up at the train tracks behind the building.
Right. Yeah,
If
They're
it's
already, yeah.
residential, I'd be more worried about it,
Yeah.
like people from Locust if you were affecting residential, but it doesn't affect me.
yeah, but I think it's a point, point taken that there is that potential.
Wendy, did you want to add something?
I remember at a meeting, Dan Radman said they're between the foreign car company and the Pine Street
Yeah, there is
concession,
drainage
there's a
there.
big drainage there,
Yeah.
which seems like where that
Yeah.
is under some
Yeah, I think
That
there
would
is
be
a
a
big
major
drainage thing that goes.
production there.
One thing I thought about as a con, we on cons?
Yeah, we're in town. We can be wherever we want to
Is
be,
the
as long as we're at Columbia.
the proximity of children to train tracks.
Oh, living.
Yeah, no, I don't know whether the town considers, whether we're getting to cons of affordable housing or whether we're talking cons to the towns, you know? But I do think transit-oriented development obviously is incentivized and rewarded. However, the reality of how those train tracks work, I think there would have to be some work done to make that.
Are they not
Yeah,
fenced
fair.
now? I think.
They're fenced now, but I think we could put a really, a really safety oriented, something that was really, really safety oriented to address what is a legitimate concern about kids finding
Yeah.
their way over the.
Okay, just as part of the construction, so we don't need
Yeah.
to mention that now.
Yeah, because I mean, all the
Okay.
homes, once you
I was
start,
gonna say on
once
Richmond
it crosses a Richmond Hill, then the back of Marshall Ridge, all those homes
Have
they
kids.
fence off, yeah.
Yeah,
For your-
All of those homes along that area that comes north into the tennis
Route
center
3,
are
yeah.
all, their yards are right next to the train
yeah,
track.
I mean, even Mead Park, you know,
Yes.
with our
Oh, yeah.
kids growing up there, they would run train,
Yeah.
and they'd like run up. And they
Fine.
did build a pretty tall fence, I think, to preclude anybody from running
Up on the track.
up to the tracks, yeah. My major concern with the lumberyard for a con is, where will people park during construction?
that's actually a huge con for all of
Oh,
these.
yeah.
And
I
the
think
feedback
it's a
we
problem
got
for all of them.
from Stacy and Tucker was, I don't see how you do it.
I think this one, because it could be phased, you could have, you know, you like say for, I don't know which one's building 1 and 2, but you could build the garage first. And leave all the, what you see as white building space as parking. Or maybe not all of it, some of it as parking and some of it would have to be construction staging. And then get the parking garage open and then come back and build the residential units. So I think lumberyard actually, because of its size, has some more flexibility for construction staging than.
So do
But
I.
you still are gonna be displacing
Yeah.
a certain number of cars in the meantime, and that is a problem for all of them, and I don't know what you do. I mean, I'm sure an engineer or someone could help us with it, but it's gonna be a challenge, particularly for Locust.
Before we leave, I will read you what she wrote, just so that you've heard it. She has this at 354 spaces, by the way.
Oh, existing parking is
Mhm.
354, okay.
And does she give you a comment on utilization, Jane?
Yeah, she says, let's see, 611 commuter permits, 61 permits for the tenants of 220 Elm and 208 to 212 Elm, and 9 spaces for the Getabout. The lot will open up to anyone at 10:30. The usage in that lot is very high on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, less used on Monday and Friday. The only other type of permit that can be used in the lumberyard lot or Richmond Hill, by the way, is a 1-day pass. These are offered to senior citizens or former lumberyard permit holders who need to take the train, and they need to park in the lot prior to 10:30 a.m. And there's a waiting list for both the lumberyard and Richmond Hill. In the past, there was an extensive wait list for both lumberyard and Richmond Hill. Due to COVID and the fact that many people were working from home, we were able to bring down that wait list to 47 for the lumberyard and 18 for Richmond Hill. Now, because more and more people have been asked to come back to the office, those 2 lots have very high usage, so we've put any notifications for new permits on hold.
Well, I think that's something, we may want to note that, but I think that's something which the town, whoever does the lumberyard lot, whether it's the town or a commercial developer, whomever, and if anybody does the Locust Avenue lot, they're going to have to deal with that because
Yeah.
the need for what we're talking about building here is so high, and the cost of alternative sites is so high that it really pushes us towards this. So I think we'll just have to leave that to be worked out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're busing people down to Talmadge Hill.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm only reading this to you because the subcommittee requested that we find out what they felt. So I don't know whether we include this as cons, but just while I'm reading, I'll read you the conclusions, both from Stacy and Tucker. She didn't know which lots we were talking about specific. I mean, I asked her about the specific lots, but she wasn't assuming we were thinking of building on them. In my opinion, the closure of any of the town's parking lots and the relocation of the parkers, even temporarily, would be nearly impossible. Even now, with all the lots open and available, they cannot handle all the visitors, shoppers, commuters, or employees who need to park in them on a daily basis. The do not feel there's a quick solution or an easy answer to this question. It must be thought through. Tucker said, bottom line is that we cannot see any reasonable options for moving commuters during any construction at the lumberyard lot. We dealt with this in a very small way when the Metro North shut down. Happened 2 years ago during the summer, and also when people were still not commuting the way they are now. It was a total nightmare. So, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. It just
Yeah,
means
it's,
Not gonna be easy.
it's not gonna be easy. So I don't know if we want to put as a con in all of them, displaced parkers, but maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Temporarily
Temporary.
displaced.
temporary provision of parking is complicated, something like that.
Yeah, upheaval's gonna
Yeah.
be real, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't we lease out part of Talmadge Hill right now to like big construction equipment? Isn't there a whole lot right there that's
I think that's-
mostly,
I think that's
yeah,
great.
DPW?
That's that.
Oh, okay,
It's a state property.
okay,
They own up against the Merit, as I recall, too. There's a big chunk of land there
okay.
to the north of the parking lot.
I mean, I just know from going down to Darien, I'm sure you guys have been down there too, like their station has been, their platforms are under construction. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. But it's displaced, you know, that certain times they have certain parts of the lot closed, and obviously it's not ideal. It's
Yeah.
a pain in the butt, but
That's true.
things have to be done sometimes.
Yeah.
If there are solutions, they're just not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cons, I don't remember, yeah, we talked about the garage above Pine Street, I think, you know, we've talked about this, one of the potential cons for lumberyard in general is that because it's sort of the crown jewel, there is a potential for a site plan, master planning process to truly find the highest potential of the site, and that is not exactly what we're doing here.
Mhm.
We're just looking at the potential for affordable housing, so you may be leaving something on the table or out by looking at it from kind of a narrow vantage point. While it's feasible, that does create a little bit more complex construction when you have multiple buildings and doing them at different times, and I'm not sure the proximity to the rail line may require coordination with the Department of Transportation regardless, as we get to the next slides for lumberyard, if we do anything with that station parking lot, which is on state-owned land, that would definitely probably require coordination. Again, could be an email. I have no idea. I have no idea how
Yeah,
involved it is.
Krista, I think that's a good thing to highlight. It's kind of mysterious as an outsider, but I think it is something to highlight. And
You know, again, next week Tiger might have some knowledge just from, you know, paving projects or whatever things we've done in the past, you know, how much involvement we've had to have with the state.
Well, and I think that could also be a pro, that this is truly transit oriented development, which,
yes,
you know,
yes,
would tend to be like very looked upon very favorably by the state. So I think I think, yes, you know, working with the state can sometimes result in delays or what have you, but to the extent that this is true transit oriented development, there could be advantages to that. In trying to push something through the state.
Well, it's just true transit, Ori. Not gonna be oriented.
Okay, yes, Ori. Got Luke
Ori,
talking
Lou, and-
Ori.
Jeez.
another transit-ori, huh?
All right, there we go.
That's crazy. It sounds like almost a sushi dish or something.
Yeah.
Transit.
Do you guys wanna move on? I mean, we can come back to any of these if you have
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts.
the only, I think you addressed it there when you talk about, master planning. But that's the thing that's been, on my mind the most on this property is that, like you said, it's a crown jewel. It's just from being in town for so many years. I mean, the people see this as the Shangri-La. Everyone has their own notion of what should go there. So this is definitely a diminishment of, you know, development rights that we're grabbing,
Mhm.
you know, kind of ahead of the line on all the other stakeholders in town.
Yeah.
But that's our mandate. I mean, we're supposed to look for potential sites for affordable housing. We're not supposed to create a master plan for something that's central. And I think to the extent that we note it as like, if we use it exclusively for this, that's what we're using it for, so the town would.
We'll
need to
jump into
find
the head
it.
of the line, so to speak.
I think we need to call it Mr. Counselor Sweeney when he starts talking like that.
But is there a way to turn it into a pro?
Don't need to be insulting, Jeff, please.
Are there spaces left? I remember from our discussion, I thought there were for other uses, no?
I think there was there is commercial, I didn't
Yeah.
actually add that here along the frontages on Elm Street.
Right,
Yeah,
And I mean, that being said, you know, because this delivers more than one full moratorium, if we decided we only needed it for one moratorium, then you have a lot of building
Right.
space
Yeah,
that
that
could
opens
be,
it up to other use.
you know,
Right.
other things.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I hesitate to call this the crown jewel because right now it's a parking lot. And it's not a particularly attractive one, in my opinion.
It's a jewel that's in the mind, we just.
Yeah, it hasn't been polished yet.
Mined it yet.
Well, you know what, and perhaps this conversation and the fact that we're looking at it for affordable housing will push leadership to start thinking of how they envision it.
Right,
Like that,
yeah.
you know, but our mandate right now is to look for spaces where we could build affordable housing, and this one is one of them. And I
Mhm.
think, you know, for us to spend too much time worrying about what other people might want it for.
Right, that's above our pay grade.
Yeah,
right.
yes,
know about that, just not part of our mission.
yeah,
I'm
We
sorry.
also don't get paid
Yes,
anything, so
yeah.
it is above our pay grade.
yeah. But I think if we weren't to look at this as a potential for affordable housing, it would be a huge miss.
Mhm.
To not even,
Mhm.
you know, to say like, oh, it's reserved for some future
Unknown.
amazing
Yeah.
use that nobody has come up with yet.
Right.
Right.
Right, so,
And maybe it
There've been a lot of
is.
discussions over the years.
Oh,
so
sure,
yeah.
It's floating out there.
yeah,
Unlike Locust, which the only thing I've ever heard of is to deck park.
deck parking, yeah.
I mean, the folks in town who are concerned about, you know, elder housing
Oh,
or, you
yeah.
know, a myriad of other things, you know, will, we have concerns for that reason.
All fair.
Guys wanna
Mhm.
move on?
I mean, yeah,
I got oriented in there, it's no longer Ori.
Oh, good.
good.
All right, so this was the second scheme for the lumberyard. This one, as you may recall, has the parking deck here on the left side, backing up to the buildings that front on Grove
Yeah,
Street. And it's wrapped in residential. So from, you know, any vantage point on Elm Street, it just looks like a big residential building, but inside of there is a parking garage. I do think this one uses some exiting or ingress off of Grove Street as well. It also has the interior street. Now, this one, I think this could be done with any of the lumberyard lots, but they showed on this one restructuring the exit to the parking lot in front of the train station so that it doesn't come out at that 5-point intersection with Park and Elm Street.
Starbucks.
And that we'll talk about as a con or potentially a pro. I mean, I think there's an upside to that, but the downside may be more coordination with the state because the town does not own the land there, where the actual station house is. So this one gets us 163 units. Why does it say, oh, this must be a typo. So
435.
yeah, it's
Well-
354, what we just had on the last one.
well, not if you're counting the
That's
ones at the
100.
train station.
So,
So,
I didn't ask.
that one we'd have to just confirm the number,
okay.
right? I would assume that that's.
Yeah, that must be
Yeah.
why otherwise.
Yeah.
Either it's a typo or that's it. So it's got two buildings, both of them sort of L-shaped, one with 98 units, one with 65 units. And the parking ratio was 1.2.
Is that black strip to Grove, are they showing the access on this?
I think that's just a shadow of the aerial, but I think that's what they talked about in the meeting.
I think it's that house that sits between the office building and the other house. I don't think they're
That
showing.
the town owns now, Jeff?
Yeah.
The house is
The
coming out.
house is gone.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you got Stanford Hospital building, the square
Mhm.
building, then
Yeah.
there's that black area, so that's the access.
That would be the access,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that would be the access, but I don't think they've shown it.
Yeah, that's my
I think they
question.
could improve
I
it.
think that's shadowed. I think that's the shadow of the Stanford House building. But it's unfortunate that
The other black is.
that didn't show up.
I'll tell Amanda Emma, we want to see the Grove access on this one.
On both if they
Yeah,
can.
both.
On both of
Yeah,
these,
because I think-
yeah, on both of these.
All right, so like the last one, this one can deliver more than one full moratorium. You know, we've talked about 60 to 75 units is a sweet spot. This one gives 163. Like the last one, it could be phased. This one, I think one of the real positives is that the garage is well hidden from all street frontages. I don't even know how much you'd really see it from Grove Street with other than the egress, but with those existing office buildings on Grove Street, I'm not sure how much you would see it. It suggests improved redesign of the state-owned parking at the station house, which is a pro, I think, to that intersection. It creates the interior street on the site, which we talked about previously. Like the last one, the narrow ends of the building face Elm Street to keep the existing streetscape cadence. The grade change with, the Board of Ed building, which is 220 Elm Street, sits up above the lumberyard parking lot, and the way they've wrapped that second building behind it would really hide that grade change to the pedestrian's eye. You know, if you're in that building, you'll maybe, I don't know, if you're on the first floor, you might be looking at dirt. I'm not sure how that works. But I do think that that's a pro, that you aren't seeing that huge slope down.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant slope there from 220 Elm down. Like the last one, the larger site allows for more flexibility in design and phasing, and then something about the covered parking being an improvement. Oh, and then they must have said this, or I probably wouldn't have put it here, that we may be able to separate commuter parking from residential parking in this garage. Cons is that you would have 4 stories of residential. So that this little part here that sticks out, I guess, must be 4 stories of residential above grade. You'd be looking up at that from Pine Street. I think that's a nicer view than looking at the back of the parking garage. Just like we talked about, potential for a more robust master planning process to find the highest potential of this site. Because the garage is wrapped in a residential liner building, it may be perceived as bulkier, like it may look like a bigger building from the outside because that garage is hidden. And obviously then if we're gonna rearrange the parking, and maybe even if we're not, coordination with the Department of Transportation.
I would add too, that you would have residences like right on top of the train, which could be loud. Or, you know, might require additional soundproofing or what have you. Right, because you would have residences.
Yeah,
Right.
and this piece right here, there's no, this whole time I thought I'm showing you with my mouse on the screen and it's not showing up there, okay. Yes, there is a part of the residences that are right there against the train.
I mean, people deal with it in Chicago.
Well, I tell you, go down to Greenwich and there's $3 million condos that are being built right along the train line. It's remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived above a subway station, like there was just one floor between us and the subway stop. And at first I was like, this is going to put me in a mental institution. And then I just stopped hearing it after a while. But the first night we were in there, it was like, what?
Yeah.
What have we done here?
Yeah, but then you just like get so used to it, so.
My son lives in that very situation right now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, every time I do it, so I just don't mention it.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Anything,
Yes, Wendy.
the lease on the Board of Ed and its special needs that's there, so I don't know how.
Oh, yeah, so, well, I can't show you with my mouse. Yes, they did just lease is it the Bankwell building this
Yeah.
next door? The Board of Education did for,
And I think.
Which I think is here.
yes,
Yeah,
Is that,
I
so,
think there's a little on both.
okay,
They were on, I think they just expanded it,
oh, okay.
so that especially for what they're trying to do, is disruptive to the students and construction and how long the lease is for there and.
Yeah. Which would be the same even if they did it in the building that they own.
Yeah, because right now that's the
Yeah.
launch program is in there, in the alternative high school or in 220 on. So, and I do think they are extending it, although the Board of Ed also has a proposal to perhaps move everything over to Saks. I mean, all of it is sort of in flux, but you're right.
Because they don't do 20, there's the towns.
The town owns too, yeah, and they are leasing it, so. Or we own a condo, it's
Yeah.
a condo building, so we own that,
We all.
50%.
yeah.
Okay, so other thoughts on this one in terms of pros or cons?
I think you captured, yeah.
I think to be consistent, we have to point out on each of these that the assumption is no land acquisition.
Okay. I will obviously revise these after tonight, and you guys will just have to check it because my notes are a little all over the place.
I don't mind that they're not on the minutes, always.
Oh, no, no, no. I don't think they need to be on the minutes. It's not issue. I'm just saying, I can't decipher my own notes, so maybe it's not.
And I think that the town has recently leased that Grove Street property to a business where we're getting now some revenue for parking spaces.
Yeah.
So there, a con might be lost revenue from lease of Grove Street parking spaces, although it might fall under the same sort of parking cons that we're thinking of, but.
Oh, that old house, they're leasing that?
No, the house is
The house
down,
is down.
but we've agreed to.
Oh, on the
lease
lot,
it,
yeah.
Yeah, so that it's an empty lot, it's gonna be 6 spaces gravel, that business is gonna take care of the landscaping and the snow removal and all of that, and they're paying sort of a premium for that lot to be parking spaces for their employees, and so it would just be a minor, but still a lost new revenue source if we needed it for getting in and out, but nothing that is gonna bankrupt the town.
Yeah, I mean, the building does back up against the H 24 Grove and the Franco property, and behind it, there's a like a woodworking
Oh, yeah,
shop
yeah.
right there. I think one of the Franco's has that, so it would bump right up against that, but it's commercial use. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The fruit, yes,
yes.
yeah,
Before the old Unum building, there's one more parcel in there.
and it would also displace the farmer's market,
Yeah.
which I think is a.
Oh,
That's a
something
major
that would be in the
issue.
con, because we've already displaced them once
That's a-
and moved them there, so we would have to accommodate that on weekends.
Do we get revenue from that?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's something that a lot of residents do use and
Yeah.
really like it, and so we'd have to find an alternate space for it. We'd have to accommodate, I think, a farmer's market somewhere else.
Okay. So we didn't go over this with Amenta Emma in the call, but they sent it afterwards. They called this scheme 3. I don't know if we want to consider it, if we don't, but they sent it to me and I sent it to you guys, so I figured I'd put it up here. Here Miles was trying to kind of blend what he thought were the best of both scheme 1 and scheme 2. So you've got the garage pushed against Grove Street, but this time it's not really wrapped in residential. The gray is the residential buildings that kind of screen the garage a bit. You would obviously see a little bit of it as you go in the entrance from the interior road that they've drawn here. And then this one actually does show that egress on Grove Street. This one's a smaller, it's only 128 units. The parking count is about the same. And the ratio was actually quite high, it's 1.6.
So what's toward the railroad tracks on the inside of the right angle, that's that open space?
Yeah, so yeah, to me, one of the cons of this one, I'm trying to see oh yeah, it's number 3 under cons. So this one has more open space, but to me, it's kind of oddly configured and I don't know if it's really usable, particularly that triangle piece that would be abutting the rail line. I mean, I get what he's doing. They're trying to have street frontages right there on that interior street so that it feels neighborhood-like. But yeah, I guess I don't know what the upside of having those L-shaped buildings instead of just big squares or I mean, I guess you can't have a triangle building. Clearly, I'm not an architect, but,
Yeah.
I don't understand that cutout area. Can you explain it to me? I
You mean the
Elm
white
Street
space?
Part, yeah,
oh, where it says Elm Street and then it's empty?
yeah.
That is where 220 Elm is. That's where the
Oh,
Board of Ed
okay, got
building
it,
is.
got it.
That, so that's not really part of this parcel that we're talking about. And so this one, I think I put it under, the number 4 under the cons is 220 Elm Street grade change would be completely exposed on this one.
Yeah.
It's not at all hidden, which I think, is a bit of a loss for us. All right, so quickly, this one also delivers more than one full moratorium, could be phased, distribute some of the egress entrance onto Grove Street, creates the interior street on the site. So you can see it starts to get a little repetitive. The narrow ends of the building face Elm Street. Basically, I don't think I have anything unique to this scheme as a pro. I think these are all things that we've said about any of the schemes for lumberyard. On the cons, I think this was another thing that he wanted to. Why would this be a con? The garage would be visible from Pine Street, but it's the narrow side versus the wide side in scheme 1. I think that's part of what he was trying to do here is not have the full length or width of that garage visible from Pine Street. It's just the end of it. So I think that's part of what was happening. But you're still going to be seeing the garage. It's like, I don't know if that's a pro or a con. And we already talked about the weird open space that I'm not sure is usable, the grade change is exposed, and the rest of it is just a repetition of.
Maybe that's why you pushed the building away from the railroad tracks to, just to get it away from from Pine Street view. Having that area there,
yeah.
for the railroad tracks.
I mean, 'cause yeah, I guess you could plant trees.
I was gonna say.
I mean, it's not really gonna be like a yard, but maybe it could just be
Someplace,
Screening.
It's
It's
trail,
that's
that's
it. I mean, I think the one on the top left could be more of a little, pocket park or green space for the
Yeah.
residents, and I
Yeah,
think the
or-
one on the bottom right is not usable.
Yeah, I would almost flip them.
I would,
At the
yeah.
angle bend, at 140-degree angle, 145-degree angle and. Have it open like that and have the open area in toward the roadway there.
Yeah, that's what I think too, Mike. I think you take the lower part of the L and just slide it back against the property line. You wouldn't lose any space. It'd be essentially just a mirror of the configuration of the apartment building, and you'd have that space. You'd have the park view out near the sidewalk.
Which building are you talking about? The one?
I'm talking about the upper left-hand corner.
Okay, yeah.
You just rotate the L, what is it, probably 90 degrees, and it works.
Yeah, I wonder if he was thinking that like first floor or lower floor apartment buildings, if they have a window, it would be directly abutting another building instead of an open,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
true.
if that's they're meant like what they might have been thinking. I'm just trying to think of.
Just trying to think of what he might have been imagining. Well, yeah, but you already have that problem with the way he's got it configured with the end of the building that's along Elm Street.
That's true.
But I mean, but that might have been what he was thinking about. He was just trying to minimize the impact of that.
I mean, I had windows that overlooked other buildings too. Yeah, preferred them for my bedroom in cities,
Yeah,
but it's different animal.
So
Go ahead, Jeff.
Did you want to say anything about um, the number of units relative to the other three alternatives?
So yeah, this comes out at 128. I have to go
Versus
back and I don't know if my computer can do that, but I think the other ones were like closer to 165, 100 and,
163 was scheme two,
okay.
and scheme one was, golly, it was,
Yeah,
156.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which is why you get, because they've kept the same amount of parking basically, which, so that's how this parking ratio is so much
it moves
higher.
around, yeah.
Because they've kept 550 spaces, but lobbed off 30 to 40 units. Yeah, this one, I mean, he did it quickly because he was trying to just give us more material to think about. It doesn't feel as well thought out to me as the other two. You know, I don't know how you guys feel about, we don't have to decide right now whether this one goes forward to be shared with the public in a meeting or a survey, but think about it, and there's value in it.
It's a little odd not to have it fully developed and it look
Yeah.
a little bit of a sketch, if you know what I mean, relative.
Yeah,
Be able to see where the actual buildings, the existing buildings are.
yeah,
Because-
well, the other ones were on the aerial, and this one,
Right.
Yeah,
you know, probably just dropped out of AutoCAD onto.
Do we still have time with them at the MR, that they're on the clock, that we can still ask them to do things, or we kind of running out of way
Time,
with them?
yes, our contract is good through the end of June,
Do we
I
have any
think I
hours
could get
left?
him to do a little more, I mean, they seem really willing to help us out. I can't completely change the scope of work, but since he sent me this, if we're interested, I could ask him.
I was just curious to tease out what they were trying to, what they were trying to get at here, that's an advantage.
Yeah. I think from what he told me, we just had a quick phone call when he sent me this, it was the narrow end of the parking garage facing Pine Street. And hiding the parking garage then against Grove Street. And then and having the interior street, but I don't know, I didn't really understand the shape of those buildings.
Right.
It also doesn't presume an exit out through the train station, which
Right.
could,
Which any of these I think could, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just sort of like an option we can add on if
Yeah.
we want
Yeah.
to. Or if that becomes too cumbersome dealing with the state, then we just don't.
yeah.
Right.
Then
Yeah,
they'll just
yeah.
have the same ingress and egress plus Grove Street.
Yeah, so
I also thought there was something compelling here that he was trying to, get to us.
Yeah.
That'd be good to at least think about it.
All right, I can ask him to.
I have to say, this is attractive to me, but I think the attraction of it comes from the lower density because there is that space, and even if we don't like the configuration of the buildings as he's shown them here, it feels like there's a lot of flexibility once you've put the garage in the location that you have, you've straightened out the horseshoe of the street, the in Project Street, and you can fiddle with those configurations of those buildings. And it can be a really sweet design, I think. As opposed,
Yeah.
I think the others are a little more complex.
Yeah. Yeah, this one does.
Well, then it sounds like it'd be worth asking.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Alright, well, now we're gonna get to the good stuff where the pages are blank and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to add anything to that. So I just copied and pasted the images. So this, now we're at Richmond Hill. And we, I think, concluded at our last meeting that we do want to go forward presenting Richmond Hill to the public. It was one of the three options we asked them to look at. The issue for anybody watching or for Wendy, who hasn't been here all the time, is that Richmond Hill on its own cannot get us to a moratorium, or honestly even that close to a moratorium. But there may be a desire, or maybe timing will make this an option that we want to consider. So we thought it was worth showing. Also because I think it's a smaller site and people might have questions about what's possible on a site of this size. So this was the first scheme. He showed us 20 units. If they're Jane's gonna correct me if the numbers aren't right. Existing parking, 67 spaces.
Yeah, she says 64.
Oh boy, smart crowd. What? I don't have any. Oh, I can't, sorry, it's a picture on this one. I can't edit it. That's why I'm
Okay.
doing that. But I will fix that. Richmond. Provided parking on this one is 91 for a net gain of 24 spaces, which brings us to parking ratio of 1.2. This was a single, I believe a single multi-family building with 20 units in it, built on top of decked parking. So I think there's a ground level that's full parking. And then what we're looking at from the bird's eye is the second and third levels, second level being open surface parking. And then the building, I think, is 2 levels, or maybe 3 levels on top of that. All right. I have not given much thought to the pros or the cons, and I may not be able to edit them, but I will find a piece of paper and write down things that people have to say.
Want me to
about
do
these.
that for you?
No, I got it.
Okay. I mean. I think the only real pro, the only reason we're really keeping it on the list is that it's a potential complement to something else we would be doing,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I would say could complement smaller structure at Locust. Like if we
That's
wanted
true.
to divide, if we wanted to scale that one down, I think it would be very expensive to do two.
Right.
But that might be what the appetite in town is, to distribute it and have 2 smaller developments rather than something really big at Locust. It can solve some of those cons at Locust,
Mhm.
you know, if we did 2 smaller developments.
Mhm.
And it's also probably in a different school district.
Yeah, this would probably be in, probably in west, and I think Locust would be in south, because Forest Street is south. So for both of those, you know, it distributes it outside, all 3 of these, actually, it's,
Away from
then
it.
it's not at east, so
Mhm.
it's distributing it a little bit more through town for all of them.
What about Parade Hill?
South?
Although they could really put them on anywhere, you know, it's just
Yeah.
at the spot where,
Sure.
you know, depending on
Yeah.
population size, they could flip it anywhere.
I could redraw the line pretty easily.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned schools in any of our pros or cons, but I guess we just leave it out. That's not our job, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a can of worms.
Can of
we may
worms.
not wanna open.
Okay.
I think another pro for this one is that it's already in a residential neighborhood with some pretty significant multifamily.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
across the street.
It can never look huge when it's across the street from the view.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's also those townhouses that are behind the church, which are
Mhm.
just shifted up, and those are up above the street.
True.
So they
Across the
they look,
street too on,
yeah,
across the street that's being redeveloped too. I saw a zoning application on the corner right across the street, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. On
You mean
Richmond Hill,
Richmond Hill.
yeah,
to the south, oh, to Richmond Hill, okay.
yeah, across Richmond Hill, maybe the 3rd house there, like on the bottom left, that it came down and they're building some condos. It's not a lot, might be 3 in one building and like 4
I
in
mean, to the
another.
west though, there is a resident, well, single family.
Yeah,
That's some 2 families down the street.
Not in this illustration, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think it is shown. It would be the house, the very first house, down Richmond Hill on the same side of the street.
Yeah.
I think that's a single family home.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. So that was, because that was in the market for a long time, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Was.
all right. I mean, the obvious con of this is that it doesn't get us a moratorium, but
Right.
Just near the train, because they, you know, we've talked about that on all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love one big building on this site, but, which I guess scheme two is meant to rectify.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I wanted to include this in some public fashion is to say we looked at it and it doesn't meet a moratorium, you know, we evaluated it to meet a moratorium, it doesn't do that, but the one pro is what we said before, is that it could complement a smaller development somewhere else. So I think it's fair to tell people like this would be 20 units, and if we were just trying to achieve one other moratorium, we could do it, you know, somewhere else with a 45 unit building. So, but there's a lot of con. I mean, the biggest con is that this single development does not get us a moratorium, which is
Right.
the overwhelming con.
Is another pro sorry.
I was gonna say, I'd have to check my notes, but I think the parking on this one may be able to be separated because like the first level would just be
Krista,
surface
Krista.
parking
I
lot.
think that's what he said.
Krista, I specifically asked them that, and they said, no, you couldn't accommodate all of the necessary resident parking on this upper level.
Okay,
Would you list proximity to New Park?
as a pro?
Yeah, I mean, it,
Yeah, it's probably it is the closest one to a recreational facility.
yeah,
Which, I mean, you know, none of these, save maybe that third site we just saw for Lumberyard, have usable green space
Right.
on them, so to be able to put it next to usable green space is, I think, a big pro.
What was the driveway access on this? I don't remember now. Is it,
I think the upper level
Up
came
on
off
Park?
of Park Street and the lower level goes
Came
in
off of Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill.
Yep.
might be a little better for traffic as opposed to one of the locust designs, maybe. I'm not sure if that's.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think both because it's less units and
Yeah.
a location, you know, there's no signal intersection here. I think you're not gonna have nearly the traffic problems.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because the parking that you're accessing from Richmond Hill is essentially the same parking that's being accessed from Richmond Hill today. And so the additional parking, the 24 units or whatever it is,
24 spaces, yeah.
yeah, it comes off of Park Street.
Right.
And I think he's got that marked as a two-way access.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Although it does get you closer to the, what's the name of the street behind St. Aloysius where the view dumps onto?
Maple.
Maple, yeah.
So the view dumps out onto Maple, you know, going up to Park. To some degree.
Yeah, I think if, I'd have to look at a better aerial, but I would try to align that driveway to Maple and so that you have, you know, one place where cars are coming in and out as opposed to
Right.
20 feet distance.
I think Maple is one way there.
It is one way,
Yeah.
so.
One way, yeah.
Going westerly.
Yeah.
It looks like just from this sketch, it looks like you could probably align it much
Yeah,
more. quickly.
Yeah.
It's almost aligned now. You could probably align it pretty directly.
Yeah. All right, let's go to.
I think this scheme might suffer. I think it was Hillary who said that, you know, it's just a great big massive building, but I think it might suffer from that because even though what the wonders of this or the attraction of this, it's double loaded corridors, so it's really efficient building. It looks massive in this sketch, but you could probably do something that variegated the front and side, at least the side, you know, the face, the ones that face the street, so that it wasn't quite as looming as it would look if from this perspective.
Yeah, I
But-
think that's important, Jeff. I think the potential loom though on those one or two single family homes there, because that grade is quite,
Yeah,
is quite high when you
Yep.
go towards the street.
Yeah.
So there would be, I would put as a con, like a potential loom on.
Person that lives in that house is kind of have angina when they see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I decided to try to sell it to
That's a
them.
tough spot.
Yeah. Okay, um. Next one.
You know, I guess I do have a question, and you know, acknowledging that it's a con that it doesn't get us far enough along to a moratorium. I mean, there is another way to look at it, which is it gets us started building smaller, manageable sized, affordable housing projects, which I think could be construed as a positive.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, it's instead of a big monolith that's kind of sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And whoever walks people through these illustrations has a big job to do, because depending on who's in the room, maybe, yeah, because really need to understand that,
How they work. I mean,
well,
that's
in a way, this is good because it's the ugliest they could ever be. But
true,
they're really ugly images.
yeah. So this was the second scheme for Richmond Hill. I think this was all townhouses. My
It's
memory
all townhouses. Yep.
correct, 2 buildings. Which kind of nice. I mean, it totally wraps the street.
And you look at the relationship between the houses we were just worrying about,
Yeah,
and it has that one little townhouse there to accommodate that.
yeah. I think that this, you're looking down at the upper level of a 2-decked parking structure with the buildings on top of that. But at the intersection of Park Street and Richmond Hill, I think you're at grade. And then you go down, and it looks like this also has both entrance and exits off of Richmond Hill and Park Street.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think the loom factor is much
Big.
less.
Yeah.
Most of the loom would be over parking, it looks like. Except for that little narrow part, which doesn't look terrible, particularly if it's a townhouse, it maybe isn't a, or if it's townhouse style, maybe that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
I think this fits in.
Yeah, you could finish that in so that it was attractive.
Yeah.
Just like on the north end of the Park Street wing, you would want to finish that so that it looked nice as well.
I mean, I'll add in all of the things that are generic to both of these, yeah, proximity to Mead Park, less traffic issues, smaller manageable, affordable housing. And I think the cons are kind of the same.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't need to spend a lot of time.
Except for the loom, yeah.
Yeah, I think the main difference here is how it contextually fits in the neighborhood. All right, let's see if I can switch. I'll get back to stop sharing. Now I want to go to so what I wanted to, you guys tell me if you think this will be useful or not. I'm gonna bring up another thing that I've done here to try and get us to a place. As you may recall, in our last meeting, we talked about, when we go to the public with these and ask for feedback, to me, what we're asking for is perspectives on a series of trade-offs and which ones people are willing to make and which ones aren't. And as you can see from the exercise we just went through, there, you start to get sort of a repetition of the same, you know, is it traffic? Is it massing? Is it loom? Like these types of things start to repeat themselves. And so I tried to come up with sort of generic categories for the things that we've talked about repeatedly now and see if there's a simpler way to kind of summarize it. I'm not saying what we've done here with the pros and cons is bad, and maybe that's what we'll decide to do. But we'll just have to see if this might be. Why?
Is it like a comparison chart
Yeah.
between, yeah, I think I like to see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first, this is the actual the second part here, but I'll explain it in a minute. Basically, this would be the comparison chart with the criteria down the side and the different sites at the top with the different schemes, and things are kind of color coded, and I'll explain that in a minute. I have not fact checked this at all. I had AI make this, so take it for what it's worth. I think it's reasonably good. But to go back up here, this is sort of the legend for it. And so the criteria I have included here, and again, this may not be complete. This is really just illustrative tonight to see if this is a direction we want to go in order to make it more easily digestible for the public. So we have a category for hue points, the first one, and it would get a green box, which is favorable if it exceeds the hue points necessary for an 830G moratorium. The blue box, which is, and again, we can change the titles of any of these, neutral or mild, is adequate for a moratorium, and then less favorable is incomplete or inadequate hue points for a moratorium is the red. Sorry, I don't know if I can zoom in. Maybe a little better. Can you see it, Jeff? Is it
Yes,
okay?
I can. I'm able to. Thank you.
We've talked about parking ratios. So I put green for anything above 1.2 spaces per unit, which was sort of our baseline threshold that we wanted to meet. Sufficient is at 1.2, and then anything below 1.2, which I don't know that we had any, would be red for less favorable. Building footprint gets to how much coverage the building has on the site. So for instance, Locust, as you may recall, had a lot of coverage. Lumberyard had less, but so buildings that provide some relief in the form of green space would get green. Neutral would be just provide some green space, and then C, less favorable, would be minimal to no green space. So anyway, I can keep reading through these, but the point is, if we were able to condense kind of the things that we've talked repeatedly about for each site into a series of criteria and then kind of rank them like this, then you could, in theory, basically do a kind of a color coding thing where you can easily look at it and be like, wow, Locust Scheme 1 has a lot of red. Like, and maybe that's fine. Maybe the things that are red nobody cares about, right? I do think people care about traffic impact and phasing, but maybe they don't. But this, I felt like that getting to a place like this, maybe this is simplifying it too much, but that this would really start to let people visually kind of see the trade-offs that you're looking at with each one, and the reality that none of them are all green, right? Like none of them are the perfect answer. So it's just a matter of like, well, is traffic impact your main thing? Well, then probably Locust Scheme 1 is not going to be for you, but maybe you're into Locust. I'm not sure I would agree Locust Scheme 2 has a low impact, but anyway.
Would we rank the criteria in a hierarchy of what we think is number one more important? So
I mean,
we
we
start at
could.
the top, and so if you saw any red on what we thought was the top criteria, it might stand out more.
We could.
Um,
I'm asking about the concept.
Yes.
Like if this is useful or not useful.
No, I think this is very useful.
I agree.
Very.
It's some of it is subjective,
Yes.
and so figuring out what our top, I mean, I'm looking at project size, is that sort of the opposite of hue points?
Project size is the number of units.
So it's interesting, Jane, I was looking under the favorable comment or
Yeah.
comment
Yeah.
column. And so for hue points, it's favorable because it exceeds it, but then you
Right.
get down to project size and you want it to be a small project. So
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
look at it on this chart, you could say, well, wait a minute, but this chart is not, it's not the results.
No, but actually I like that because I do think people could argue, well, you know, Hugh points matter to you, but I don't want us to keep building enormous building projects for affordable housing. So I think it's good that you have the.
Yeah, I agree with that. The issue that I have is if somebody looked at this quickly and they hadn't been swimming in this stuff like we have for how many months, they might think that anything in the favorable comment is part of the kind of project we should be building.
I see.
So what if we did,
I think you get over that when you move to the next array, because you then quickly understand that, oh, no, we're being objective about each of these for each of the projects.
what if we provided detail where we have subjectively assigned a color? Like, it would be helpful when you get down to the actual projects, instead of just saying it exceeds, like, if we put in the, like, not what the Hugh points necessarily would be, we don't know, but like the number,
Oh.
you know what I
see
mean? Like,
you're
if we
saying.
provided detail, so like.
So
this
instead of
would
just
be-
saying here
For
that
Hugh points, we. could say-
lumberyard scheme 1 exceeds, we could say,
So we'll let the colors show the ranking. And we'll
right,
actually put the value that gets us
Right.
to the ranking in the space.
Like, I think it's meaningful to people, instead of
yeah,
like saying exceeds, which I agree. You say, we can get 2 moratoriums out of this.
Right.
Which is like, cut some concrete.
Yeah.
Like, what does it get us? So like Locust Avenue, scheme 1 and 2, one moratorium.
right,
1 moratorium, 2
Yeah.
moratorium, you know, potentially. And then, yeah, and then the color would be sort of how we view, and our having been swimming in this, to, you know, here's how we view that, is like, we view that as a favorable thing, that you would get 2
Right.
moratoriums out of it.
right,
On the other hand, you're taking up the entire space, and, you know,
Right.
traffic might be impacted, so we've assigned that as not a positive thing. And if it's neutral, we don't know kind of where the issue stands with people, I think that's totally fair to do blue.
Yeah.
Or adequate, but I think providing
yeah, I like that. I think
numbers.
that could be good, because it's kind of silly to just repeat the words from the
Yeah.
upper screen. You could actually put detail in here that could be useful, make it
Yeah,
more.
I think that's a
Really
good
compare it.
suggestion, Hillary.
Yeah. And some of them might just be checks, like, site control, or, you know,
Yeah,
street frontage, check, yes, no, or check, or X, or
Or
something.
yes, or yes.
Yeah, like if we don't have, but I think that, I think something like this, it's helpful for me to see it all like in one document where you have.
Yeah.
The comparison of
Yeah.
the 3 sites, I think that's really, really helpful.
okay,
It lets a viewer look at it too and say, well, you know, I disagree with that. I think that I wouldn't have given green to moratorium. I think we're biting off too much, you know, to just do 1 and have a smaller building, because I don't like this mass, but you get someone to think about it, and
Yeah.
well, I also thought, like, when we do a public meeting and we're, you know, in my vision of it, I think we at some point break into smaller groups so that we can get feedback from people, but, you know, this makes it, you know, oh, like you're saying, you can pick out something on here that's really your thing, that you know, I hate the building footprint, you know, I hate how big the building is for Locust, and I just think it's covering too much of a lot, and that's like, you're giving people kind of categories of things to choose from, as opposed to just like, tell me what you like.
Yeah.
Right, tell me what you like,
Yeah.
you know, here's some options. Now, this may not be everything, people will come up with more stuff, but at least I
Yeah,
feel like it's a good
I
start.
think, if nothing else, it really shows the 2 things. One, we're being pretty objective, because we didn't just load up any one column on the second array with green. And the second thing is that everything's going to be trade-offs.
Mhm.
Every one of these projects has trade-offs. Some more difficult than others, but everyone has trade-offs.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, this is not fully developed, and I'll probably wait till after we meet with the town staff next week and get more feedback to spend too much more time on this, but I wanted to just quickly kind of get an idea out there for us to chew on.
It also seems like a great way into the survey
Mm-hmm.
Because you're then asking people, which of these criteria
Matters most. to you.
matters most to you?
Yeah. I don't
And-
give a damn about viewpoints, but I
Right,
do
you-
care about
You
traffic.
guys are all about viewpoints. We don't have to be, yeah.
Wendy, did you have a comment?
Well, I was thinking about any of these and the parking and because I've watched many commercial projects. You need the handicap spots and how many per, because that may
Building,
take how many apartments you can have and how many spaces.
Yeah, I
On
don't
all
know the
of
answer to
the-
that, but
But I mean,
I think that's for.
Tiger would,
Yeah.
well, I mean, but Tiger, could probably certainly say.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the buildings would have to be ADA accessible.
Yeah.
And then you would have to have parking that satisfies that, otherwise we expose ourselves to like a federal lawsuit,
Right.
so.
And elevators.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it has to be fully ADA accessible.
Yeah,
And
So-
with the dumpsters and the recycling, yeah, I mean, it's a ton of site things,
Yeah,
that'll
yes.
be a problem.
loading dock,
But the-
well, I guess,
Yeah.
delivery, that's another, what we always talk about at planning and zoning commission is like, where's
Where's
Amazon
Amazon?
truck
Where's
gonna park? Where are they gonna put your packages? They can't just stop in the middle
Where's
of
the
the road.
Turning Green?
Yeah.
Not just dismissing what Wendy, the constructive comment that Wendy just made, but in my mind, that's really detailed. It's well beyond what we need to be thinking about right now.
But it just might cut
It might
Yeah.
come
the
in,
the
right?
amount of
come up.
apartments and,
Yeah.
and certainly parking and.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question, for Meta to consider, I'm sure they have, but.
I mean, we might get feedback from the public that Locust is just a non-starter because
Mhm.
it's already kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And you and I know, going through that intersection, particularly to get into town, it can be a problem.
Some days it's all the way backed up to the post office.
Yeah.
Oh, and beyond.
Oh, beyond, yeah,
Sometimes you're on the other side of the stop sign.
And it's one of the worst traffic lights. I mean,
it is, it's terrible.
I'm sure it's as good as it can be. Well, maybe it isn't, but it's terrible.
Krista, if that's all we want to talk about, I have some people here that I should go attend to.
Yeah, that was the bulk of it, so yeah, you are dismissed, Mr. Williams.
Well, thank you very much for doing all this work. It's really meant that I felt we had a really good conversation this evening. And
I
so,
do too.
and I think a lot of it was made possible by all the work you did in organizing the work. So,
Absolutely, 100%.
Thanks, Jeff.
so I'll see you all. It's the 11th, our next meeting. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so next Wednesday, same time, different room, I think we're in the boardroom.
Okay.
Are we adjourning or do we,
we just
do
have-
more to,
I mean, I can make it less than 5 minutes.
okay, I didn't know if we were adjourning with.
Is anybody
Okay.
here on the finance subcommittee?
No.
Pardon me?
I'm just wondering if the finance subcommittee is getting together.
I don't know.
I mean, we'll find out on Monday, I guess.
Yeah, I think that, so, yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna mention is that I'm not going to be at Monday's meeting, which I said to some of you, I don't know that we were recording at the time, so, if you guys, one of you could offer a little update of where we are, where we're going, and I'm happy to.
I'm gonna be traveling, so I will probably have to zoom in. I'm traveling that day, but I should be at my destination by Monday night, so, I can do it, or we'll work it out.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, if you think about it beforehand, you need anything from me. I'm happy
Monday night's the full committee and then
Monday night,
Wednesday
the
is our.
committee,
sub-
Wednesday is our subcommittee. Like I said, we'll be, I think, in the boardroom, which is good because we're gonna have 5 guests. From town hall
Wednesday.
to talk about
Mhm.
things. So I mean, the agenda for that meeting will basically be, here's what we've seen as the pros and cons. I sent this stuff to them a while ago. I'll send it again with a reminder, but like, what do you see when you look at this? Like, what screams at you? And then any questions that we've had that we think they can answer, I think that will be a good time to get them out there. I'm assuming no one else from the public aside from Wendy is on Zoom, so I think item 3 for public comment.
Yeah, I don't see anyone though.
Okay. Yeah, this is just us. Wendy, do you have any other public comment? No. Okay.
For being on
She speaks, it's, but you're,
Me?
no, I speak.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah, Wendy's always in the back row. I didn't.
soaking stuff in.
Yeah, so the plan, like I said, next week, town staff, and then on the 25th, which is the next subcommittee meeting we said we would have after that, which is another Wednesday, the end of the month. I thought by then I will have incorporated all the comments we had tonight and next week into some more final versions of these things, and we can start to talk about how we want to go public and maybe,
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe break into two groups. One group to work on the survey and one to kind of work on the meeting, or maybe we do it all together, but have to be two different.
And that's on the 25th, right?
25th.
Okay.
Two different tasks.
Okay, again, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Talk to you later.
Apologize to your
Jane,
guests.
thanks
for
for, thanks for shoehorning me in. I couldn't figure it out. So,
Yep.
Glad you're here. Bye.
All right.
Who's gone?
Goodbye.
That was everything on my agenda, so unless anyone had anything else, I think we can adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
So moved.
Great. Time is it?
Like,
9:10.
Yeah. Speaking of intersections, oh here, and I'm gonna stop recording. Bye, everyone.